Hello, my friends. I want to talk today about the House Joint Resolution 11. Montana has always valued fairness, transparency, and the power of the people. But over the past decade, we've watched our elections become less about the voices of Montanans and more about big money, outside influence, and partisan division. This House Joint 11 seeks to restore Montana's historic protections against corruption by urging Congress to pass a constitutional amendment that ensures corporations are not people and money is not speech. To understand why this is critical, we need to look at our past, how Montana became a purple state, what changed, and why we're a red state now. Montana's history is very important. Montana had a reputation for being politically balanced, what I think most people would call a purple state. We weren't ruled by one party or ideology. Instead, we made decisions based on our values, our industries, our people. Much of that balance came from one simple fact: our elections were fair, clean, and protected from big money corporations and corruption. In 1912, Montanans passed the Corrupt Practices Act to prevent wealthy corporations like the Copper Kings from buying elections. That law banned corporate money in politics. It protected the voices of regular citizens for nearly a century. Because of that law, our elections were about ideas, not about who had the deepest pockets. That meant that both Republicans and Democrats had to earn votes, not buy them. That's what made Montana purple. But everything changed in 2012. In 2010, the United States Supreme Court made a disastrous ruling in Citizens United versus FEC. That decision said that corporations, unions, and super PACs could spend unlimited amounts of money in elections, treating money as free speech. Montana fought back. Our Supreme Court ruled that Citizens United shouldn't apply to us, citing our long history of fighting corruption. But in 2012, the United States Supreme Court struck us down in the American Tradition Partnership versus Bullock, eliminating our century-old protections. As a result, outside money flooded into our state. Dark money groups poured untraceable funds, drowning out Montana voices. Partisanship increased. Our elections became more extreme. Montana became less purple, more divided because big money controls elections. The compromise disappears. We first saw how corporate influence destroys democracy in Montana, and that's why HJ 11 is so critical. It's really simple. It calls on Congress to pass a constitutional amendment that restores power to the people. It does three things. It clarifies that constitutional rights belong to human beings, not corporations. It allows federal, state, and local governments to regulate campaign spending to stop billionaires and PACs from buying our elections. We see this very much in Gallatin Valley, and it needs to stop. This requires full transparency in campaign finance, so voters know exactly who's funding political ads. If we don't act, the problem will only get worse. Montanans should decide Montana elections, not out-of-state billionaires, not people coming in from other corporate lobbyists, dark money groups, big corporations, and us not knowing who's influencing who. You think you've elected an official, and then that official is getting a huge amount of money from who knows where and isn't actually voting based on what Montanans want. We've fought this battle before. We won in 1912, we stood our ground in 2012, and now it's time to fight again. Let's put power back where it belongs in our democracy, with the people. Our Constitution gives us this foundation. Let's honor our ancestors and pass this down to our children in a free state where we all have the right to a voice and we all have the right to transparency. I'm going to challenge you to think about this. Democracy, transparency, independence, equality, and accountability. These are values from Montana. And I'll see you next time.